Welcome to the last video in Chapter 14. In this video, we're talking about stylizing forms. To give you a good example about how forms can work, take a look at the left and then take a look at the right. The left is a little convoluted because you have labels and fields that are not aligned. However, on the right, you have all the labels that are aligned, you know what's good, what's bad, what you're currently on, and how the different labels line up to the necessary fields that are associated with them. Let's take a look at how that's done. First off, when you're talking about aligning labels and fields, there are a few things that you need to do, specifically with the labels. The first thing you need to do is make everything aligned appropriately. That is done by taking the label and applying a space around it. Specifically, you're setting the label to the same size and the same style. This can be done by setting a border if you want to do it. That is purely optional. You can set a width to a numerical value. You set the display to inline block. And just for visual purposes, we set the text align to right. Now, chances are the first time you do this, it won't be perfect. So please pay attention to the Code with Me videos and experiment with different stylings to make sure you get what's best for you, but also what you're looking for. When you're targeting form elements, you can actually use pseudo-classes for forms to specify different inputs. For example, input checked specifies any checkbox or radio button that is checked. Input focus is a field or fields that a user has clicked into or tabbed into, and it can be used on hyperlinks. Input invalid, any field that a user has filled in with invalid data, such as if you have an email field and they do not put in the @ or a period in the email. Well, I guess in this case just be the @. Input required, any field that is required, meaning that you do not have to go in and stylize your required fields. You can actually specify this based on the fact that all required fields are red. However, you also want to have a non-CSS version in case someone can't see the color red or in case they can't see red at all and their browser does not display colors. Last but not least, you can say input valid, specifying any field that a user has filled in with valid data, such as if it's good, make it green. You can also use the not pseudo class. This one's a little tricky, let me explain. By saying by specifying the paragraph element and then using the rule of color red, you can actually set every single P tag or paragraph tag to have the color of red, including any P tags that have classes. However, if you use the not pseudo class, that means that it's going to specify anything that is not the specified class or ID. In this case, it's going to select all P classes any P tags that do not have the class of plain. In this case, we're setting the color to red. So the example, the P class plain at the bottom does not have the same coloration as the top one because the top one does not have a class of plain. Easy, right? Chances are, if you are confused, look at the Code with Me videos to take a look at an example so you can see how this can be used in a more useful environment. Next, when it comes to styling form elements, keep in mind that whatever item you target, whether it's by a generic blanket target or specific or even class-based, you can pretty much do anything you want, whether it's modifying the borders and color, whether it's modifying the actual color of the background and text modifications such as capitalization. You can actually use graphic backgrounds and change the fonts. Or if you want to, you can even change the actual size and padding and margin and even make it look a nice, more formal than your standard typical form. Chances are you have a good idea about what you want to do with your form, so as soon as you target it, you can style it in just about any way you want to see fit. Well, that is everything for Chapter 14. Hopefully this gave you a good idea about what you can do with stylizing items, and forms, and tables, and lists. And hopefully not too much time has passed because it's been roughly about a half hour. If you have any questions about anything in Chapter 14, please send me an email or hit me up on Twitter. I'll get back to you with the best possible answer. Until then, take a look at the Code With Me videos to see these actual items in action. Next week we can start Chapter 15, and that is Positioning, Floating, and Flexbox. Oh, so fun!